Hello and welcome to this episode of Stage the Game. We have a special episode for you this week. We're going to be focusing on video games, and we're going to specifically MMOs. This week we have myself, and Tony is here along with...
All these new people.
Yes.
Someone go.
Kastner.
Anybody go.
All right. Hello, my name is Matthew Kastner. I am into technology and math, and I've played many MMO, mainly RuneScape, which we will get into.
Great. I'm Matt Enters, and I've been a gamer who was introduced through the wonderful world of Nintendo, and then developed a crippling WoW addiction. Not crippling, but
At the time,
I had a lot of time.
my name is John Rossi. May remember me from the Destiny podcast. Kastner was there too. And now we've got Matt Enters in Destiny, so we got him in there.
World of
I've been playing video games for probably as long as I can remember. I first started with my brother's Dreamcast, I think. WoW, I was introduced... World of Warcraft. I'm so used to calling it WoW. I was introduced about 2 months after it released, and I played it ever since. I currently am sitting looking at my character. So, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I have
Owen.
literally no experience with MMOs other than playing the WoW free trial once. So I'm here because I have the recording software to do this. So I'm ready to hand off the reins, and you'll probably see me reacting to playing video games in the background. But when of you guys would want to, take it away.
Well, Kastner, why don't we start off with you? Because
Tony, what's
talk
your,
about. I was gonna say I actually do.
We'll
play
do general
MMOs.
stuff. Yeah, we'll do general stuff.
I do play. I play the Star Wars MMO, the Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I played it since the beta. I got to do the beta testing for it, so on and off. And I was a subscriber for many years, like about 1 or 2, and then it went free to play. I was like, oh, cool! I don't have to worry about it. And then once I started having a little more free time and have a nice computer, I started subscribing again. So. Yeah. All right. Well, Kastner, you start off because you.
Well, why don't we? Because
somewhat.
Rossi, you've played SWTOR as well, right?
Yeah. It was solid. That was freshman year that we got into
it. Was
it.
the beta in freshman year? Yeah.
Yeah, and I came up and took over Kevin's desk for a month.
Mm-hmm. While we played.
And it was neat because it was like essentially an experience of World of Warcraft, which I have loved and played, but it was Star Wars, which I was born and bred in. So like,
it was a nice
one of
merging
my
of
best favorite
geekiness.
things. Like, obviously, I was gonna try it.
bread.
Very good. It's very different. It's different in a way because it had more story focused.
Which I liked a lot.
And
I
like
still
cutscenes and stuff. Yeah, like the dialogue options and stuff. Like a BioWare game. It was BioWare.
Nice.
BioWare.
So
Yeah,
that was a nice element.
Yeah, I would definitely say that was his biggest strength. I started playing it when it went free to play, so I didn't get the experience of when it was subscription based, and I mostly picked it up. I think it was last summer I picked it up again. I definitely enjoyed the story of it, and I was definitely craving the MMO combat, I think. The only thing I felt was kind of lacking from it, I didn't have like the same social connection that I got from other MMOs. So it sort of just felt like, because of the story, it felt almost a bit more linear and less that I was in a world exploring with these other characters.
In a world you
other
were
players,
affecting?
rather.
And I think that's what I liked most about it. Honestly, to tell you the truth, is that I didn't have to play it with. I could play with other people, and some things would be easier doing with other people, but you don't have to. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
Like, there are things in Destiny, which I'm currently just mindlessly playing right now. And I'm looking at the corner of my computer because that's where your guys' faces are.
Literally the same thing I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Just I'm mindlessly playing it right now. But things, and even Destiny that I love so much, it's you have to do with other people. But I haven't played SWTOR with another person since I resubbed about a year ago.
Yeah, because I haven't played it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't make friends online, which is, I mean, I just don't. That's not a thing I do.
Mhm.
So it's that commitment behind coming in and doing the same things every day. I can only do that for 1 or 2 games, and that's always Destiny.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
Yeah.
fair. It's definitely tough to stretch yourself between different games, particularly multiplayer games. Since I've been playing Destiny 2, like I've even like honestly like I've like had a hard time playing Mario Odyssey just because like I've been like sucked into like the grind of Destiny and like
and it can be a grind, but it's so much fun. And
not even
Yes.
so much a grind. I think we'll probably go into Destiny a little more, but just to touch on it, like it doesn't feel like a grind, and I
No.
think like the mechanics of are it like the combat mechanics of it are something that sets it apart, which
Yeah.
is something that like SWTOR because it has that traditional MMO combat. So that was one of the things that I enjoyed, and it gave you that Star Wars feel with it. It was
Yeah.
like
Definitely
I'm
has
Sith
Star Wars
lifting
feel.
people up with the Force.
They
and,
also
like,
did
like,
a fairly good job of balancing like the Force users. Like
Yeah.
you felt badass as a Force user, but like if you weren't a Force user, you were like a trooper or a spy or something, you still felt pretty badass.
That's currently what I'm doing. I'm committing myself, and being a subscriber, I get all these free characters to like, hey, you could just start the new expansion and start a character at level 60, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that, and I want to. You become
I
a
want to
legend.
play it.
I want to play it, so I'm going through with all of the classes and beating the story, and I'm like a third of the way done with a scoundrel, so like a Han Solo kind of guy, and it was weird because I did both kinds of Jedi Knight. And I'm like, I don't have a lightsaber anymore. This is weird. And it's like I can't use the Force anymore. This is weird. But it's cool. It is so neat because there are times that you kill things with a lightsaber. And I was like, oh cool. I'm just a hired gun and I just killed a Sith. That's so fun. And they did do a very good job with that. And I really do need to stress how much I like the story. They did such a neat little job with it, and they tossed it back to the Old Republic games, which there won't ever be a third because now they have this multiplayer game.
Yeah.
But which is my only real regret about the game. Is
There
that I
are
really-
rumors that it might come back.
There's rumors. Those rumors have been going forever. The last game came out in 2004.
Yeah.
So
And it was so broken.
it was so
good.
broken, but so good. It
Like,
was so
getting it to run on a modern PC is just the worst time because
it's
it'll just stop.
so
It'll
good.
just like you'll be like, oh cool, I'm going along. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle.
Oh.
Just it'll just crash. No errors, no nothing. It just stops.
The game will stop. So
Good.
anyway,
Very good.
that's SWTOR. We can.
Yeah,
It's very fun. It is
good
it is
game.
play now, which is another big, a really big thing. For
Oh,
it.
absolutely. For a free-to-play
Yeah.
game, the value you can get out of that is astonishing.
Especially with like the Starfighter
Yeah.
combat now too.
Oh shit! I think
Yeah.
I actually did. I bought something. I might have. I don't know if I subbed, but like I bought an expansion.
There's
So I
a-
definitely supported it.
There's
By
the Cartel. There's a couple of expansions. They have
Fallen Empire or whatever.
Fallen Empire, Knights of the Fallen Empire, or whatever it's called. It's but
Of,
there's so
so now that we're talking about free to play ones, WoW was never
Nope.
free to play.
Still
There
is.
were-
no,
there were,
it has a
like-
free trial now
Yeah.
that they've expanded. Before it was you were limited to like a certain time. Like
Okay.
you could only play it
15 days,
for
I
like it was like a 7 days or like 2 weeks you could play. But now they've made that unlimited.
Got it.
And-
Yeah, it's you can play up to level like 20, but you don't have
Oh.
access to like certain things.
Okay.
But, like you can play forever. You're just stuck at level 20.
Is there certain things restricting the map or content?
It's,
Things you can
it's
features.
certain content. So like
Okay.
you're not able to whisper other players. It's like
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't.
But you
join
can
a
go
guild.
everywhere?
you can theoretically go anywhere, but you're capped at level 20.
Okay.
So you're gonna get murdered.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I don't know if you can do like expansion content like say Outland, like the first like
Yeah.
the first planet you go to for like an expansion.
Different.
Okay.
But was RuneScape free to play?
Yes, actually, and still is part of it. They have a section of the map that is and always has been free to play,
Okay.
and then a lot of the extra skills within RuneScape are the other thing that you unlock from doing the members, the monthly membership. but like you can theoretically, of all the like basic combat skills and all the other skills that are free play, not members, you can get to level 99 and be fine. Obviously, like there are members components to each skill, like like at like level 70, like you need to be a member to do this one specific thing, and this skill, for example.
Interesting.
So like the free to play skills do have
their limits.
Their limits and efficiency in the free world. But actually, if I remember correctly, they made it so that way there's a section in the free to play world where you can actually try all the member skills and get them to like level 5 or something. Just so you can like see like, okay, like what's all these things that I'm missing out by not paying a monthly subscription, pretty much.
Isn't level 5 in RuneScape like really low?
Oh yeah, super low. But I mean, it's enough to get the basics of what a skill is.
Okay.
Which is good, and like for what the point is. And actually, I think, yeah. So they have like this one kind of like section of the map. It's like maybe 3 major cities, and then the area within it, and then most of the wilderness, which is the PvP area, the dangerous PvP area, player versus player. But then I think they actually expanded into like, because there was on the left side there was a big wall saying, okay, everything over here is members, and then kind of there was like a river on the left, and they had expanded like, and that the free players go into the first little like city on the other side of the wall, but then there's a mountain that they can't cross, like, and so it's like, hey guys, you can go over here, and like that's where you learn about all the member skills and stuff. But yeah, most of it is you can play free play and be completely fine with it. I mean, honestly, like if you are interested in lore or quests or anything, like I think there's like maybe 30 free play quests, but like there's like 300 plus member like in total. Jeez. So like yeah.
It's always better to pay for it.
Now when you say skills, so that means like abilities for classes. Is that something that's like locked away?
So in RuneScape there isn't so much a class. Like you kind of just have like your character and you can do whatever you want with them. So like you can specialize in like certain things. Like you're not limited at all. Like you don't have race. Like you're a human and you've got all these skills to your advantage and you can use them as you want to. So it, like people will say, I want to be a tank, or like I want to be a pure ranger or something and have like 0 defense, and or like I want to be a mage, and like people do all sorts of crazy stuff. People just do the non-combat skills and they'll be like level 3 forever, and it's really, really cool to see a level 3 walking around with like maxed in like every single skill except for the combat ones.
That's interesting. That's definitely gives it a lot more freedom than most other typical class-based MMOs. So it's more that I feel like that has a lot more customization, which is something that like doesn't really happen in most games I've played.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I had really, really kind of stuck with it, I think, because I tried the 30-day demo or whatever it was for WoW, and I just felt like limited by like the class selection. So like I didn't go much really into any of them. I was just like, oh, here's RuneScape, and I can do anything, I can be anything, I can like define my character and my character's presence by what skills I choose to level up.
Got it. It almost feels like a little Skyrim-esque in that regard.
Yeah.
We can jump frog into that too. Jump frog.
I mean, like, did any of you play Elder Scrolls Online?
I actually played for them.
Lee and I played for 2 or 3 months.
Okay, I played the beta, and like
yeah.
For honest, the problem was that had the same that it was with Skyrim. You expect to not have the class-based system, right?
Yeah, but they did.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just very like, oh, I can use these like paladin-esque abilities on my class, as opposed to like I can just do whatever I want. I found that limiting for the scope that the Elder Scroll games typically.
Exactly. I think they tried to merge the two genres because Elder Scrolls, I will say, and I will argue, is its own genre. It is
I would
I mean,
disagree
it's
with that.
well,
it's an
well,
RPG.
yeah, but the scale of it, I say, gives it a
Open world RPG.
Yeah, very open world, very massive open world.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of JRPGs that do that now.
And
It's
like
just-
RPG, like The Witcher. So like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why I disagree.
Yeah. But either way, I think they tried to get the best of both worlds and came up short in both. It was
And that's tough to.
yeah, and that's you can't really criticize them for that because
It's a scope thing.
they're taking on these two massive.
It also
Game
wasn't all
types, and-
Bethesda. It was ZeniMax.
True.
Yeah,
wasn't all
it wasn't-
Bethesda.
True. And like that's fair because like pretty much MMOs right now are like you have to like carve out a specific niche. Like I think Final Fantasy, what is it? The Final Fantasy MMO is that Final Fantasy 13?
No.
I thought it had its own number. 'Cause
It's the
15
one
is
everyone plays.
not.
Hang on, I need to search this up. Anyway, that's been like besides WoW, that's been like a surprisingly successful.
It's extremely
subscription.
expensive too.
It might be 14.
You have to pay like $200
Yeah,
to play that game right
Oh,
now.
really?
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Because you
but,
have
like,
to buy all the expansions, and like you're locked if you do not buy the expansion.
Got it. But like from what I've heard of that, it's similar to the concept of RuneScape in that like you can level up any class on like any character, and so you can just sort of jump up. So like while it's still got the classes, it's not as limited as say like something like WoW, where it's like, oh, I am playing a warrior.
Yep.
No magic for me.
Though that, I mean, if we are we ready to go into WoW? Because like,
Are we ready to take the dive?
Cassie,
Can we do a light little sprinkling of what WoW is, and then
Okay,
maybe
so-
go into how we got into each MMO?
Matt, I will
Gotcha.
talk forever, so Matt can do.
Okay, so to sum up WoW, for those of you who don't know, WoW is easily the most popular MMO that exists or has existed.
Mhm.
It had, I think at its peak, it had 12 million concurrent players, for a subscription model is insane.
That's so
So
much
that's-
I
funny.
think
Well,
it actually
yeah.
reached 14 at one point.
14. Yeah.
I
So
don't
regardless, that's that many people paying $15 a month to play the game. So that's like an obscene amount of subscribers.
Yeah.
And the biggest draw of that is that MMOs before that time, it was like EverQuest and stuff, is that they were very uninviting to new players, and that they were very much catered to, all right, you're going to spend like you have to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours and a lot of grinding to do anything. But WoW went in with a mindset that if you hop on, you can do like say one quest, and like if you play for an hour, you could feel like you accomplished something.
Yep.
And that's the mindset that went into WoW.
Yep.
Which was based also off on the famous RTSs that were very popular at the time.
The Warcraft ones.
So it's in a series that had a lot of rich lore, and then was just massive success for Blizzard.
The original concept was orcs versus humans.
Yes.
That's the original Warcraft. So
Yes, which is basically just like a Warhammer ripoff, but like
True.
regardless, like Blizzard isn't. I wouldn't say Blizzard's best for it isn't best for its originality. It's more best on like the execution of its ideas.
yeah,
Like Overwatch is like just a very well executed, like TF2 clone, and like
yeah.
WoW is just like a very well executed like next.
It takes something that exists already and, in a way, almost perfects it. Not completely, but like
Not for the time.
It goes above and beyond for the time that it's coming out.
Yeah, and this is like 2004, so like this is at the zenith of like where I would say internet games are not have not reached their mainstream yet.
Yeah, everyone's still on dial-up.
Yeah, this is like around the time that like this is just when Halo is like Halo 2 are now starting to like get big. Like it's around that like zenith of like mainstream like online, and like online gaming is like had like existed plenty longer prior. Like with like even FPSs, like stuff like Unreal Tournament, and like as mentioned EverQuest and stuff. But this was the first time that it hit mainstream appeal, and I remember exactly when I bought it. I was interested in a while before because my dad's college friends, like his friend was actually playing WoW, and so whenever I'd go to their house, like they'd have WoW on their computer, and I would just be mesmerized by the scope of everything. like this gigantic world that you just travel, and there was these massive capital cities, like also intricate. Like I was just blown away, and I got my parents to finally buy it for me after we saw the Da Vinci Code in theaters. And so then there was a Target right past right by the movie theater, and I got them to buy it. And that leads into my first WoW character, because in Da Vinci Code they have like the line "So dark, the con of man" or something along that lines. So I made my first dwarf character called Darkon. It was great.
Awesome.
Mine. So I'll go into my. So I have to like stop what I was doing here.
You gotta prepare yourself.
WoW to me has been one of those, like, it's just been a constant since I've been young, and I started in 6th grade. That's 2004. The game came out in like November, September-ish 2004. I started like January, so I wasn't that late to the party, and I started because one of my good friends in grade school have been like, "Yo, I'm playing this like online game, and like I want other people to play with me. Do you want to play with me?" And I was like, "Sure." And I was like, "Hey ma, can I buy this?" And she's like, "Yeah, why not?" And because she thought it was harmless.
Thought she know.
I think WoW got me in trouble many a day. Worth it.
Still
but,
does.
So I bought it, and the whole day that leading up to when I was going to get it at school, I was talking to my friend. I was like, I don't know what my name's going to be. Like, what do I want to name myself? What server are you on? And he's like, oh, I'm on Magtheridon, which is this giant demon that was responsible for many a bad thing.
To clarify, the server names are named off of things in the game.
Characters in the lore.
So,
Okay.
for instance, there's like one of the servers I played on the most was like the Scarlet Crusade, and so they're all named about things that happen in the game.
Yeah, names,
That's cool.
people, places, events.
It's better than RuneScape's World 1, World 2, World 3.
It gave it some personality.
I did play RuneScape a couple times in between WoW subscriptions because I had to save money. So trying to decide my name, I was like, someone Magtheridon. I'm very unoriginal. I was like Magtherid. Wait, let me change that to a different Magther. That works, Magther, and I did it Mactheir.
Wait, that's where that came from.
That is where my name comes from.
Can I screen share real quick, because his Destiny character is right in front of me. It's literally Magther. So
With 2 E's, no I.
with 2 E's, yeah, instead of an I.
I strengthened it over the years
Because everyone was pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, and it's the way it's spelled now is how I wanted it to be pronounced. I was just in grade school in 6th grade and didn't know how grammar worked.
And fancy.
Because I had a pirate for a teacher.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
But
don't go into it.
All
Nope.
Okay, great.
Don't take the bait.
Last eye.
Don't do it.
Last
Don't take
eye.
the bait.
Just I'll go that far. So I started on the wrong server, even though we were talking about it.
Hilarious.
I started on.
That sounds like a sixth
like-
grade Rossi. That sounds
Yeah.
like something.
That sounds like a 6th grade WoW
I had
move.
made
It's all
this-
like a
I had
lot.
made this. What kind of sucked about it is I made this friend named Mike T. His name was Mike and the letter T, and I just talked. I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for my friend." Like, I just started, and I started as a night elf druid because I just thought that was cool, and that was what my friend was because like I said, I'm unoriginal, and so I started as the same class and stuff, and I found this other dude sitting there, Mike T, and I talked to him, and I was like, "Oh, hey, cool." So I was like, "Hey, my first online friend. How about that? That's cool." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm in like 7th grade. I just got this game. It's pretty cool." I was like, "Yeah, cool. I'm in like 6th grade." All that usual stuff. And it's like, "Oh, shoot, my friend just told me I'm on the wrong server. I gotta go. Bye." That was the last I ever saw of Mike T.
Oh,
I
poor
moved
Mike T.
servers.
Mike T, rest in peace.
I remember my first WoW friend. It was we were doing there's one of the activities in WoW is dungeons, where The rest of this game is this whole big world, but dungeons are these small instanced encounters where then you go in with a group of players, like a small group, depending on how many, and then it's just you guys in this dungeon. So I was like, at this point, it's like I'm like level 15, like in like the first dungeon called like the Dead Mines, where you
15
go through.
Oh,
What? I'm sorry. What?
Is 15 high or low? Like
Oh no, the
60 was
cap at that
cap.
time was 60. So this was
Okay.
like
Okay.
the cap is now currently 110.
yeah. So the cap is raised, but so as we're playing this, there's also these quest lines in the game where they're based on whichever class you picked. So I was playing a paladin. I was playing a dwarf paladin, and then I was in this group.
Sorry,
all these people.
the phrase dwarf paladin makes me really happy.
They're tiny, short people with giant hammers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like the
That's
whole
totally what I would do.
holy magic, just smashing things. And so I'm doing it with these group of people, and there's another paladin in the group. And then as we're doing the dungeon, we fucking suck because I'm just terrible at this game. Like as are most people, at this point. But then what happens then is we decide after failing to beat the dungeon, we decide, hey, we both have this like class quest. Why don't we like go ahead and do it, you know? So then we decide to go off and do like the next part of this quest. And I didn't know what was going to be at the end of it. I was just like, this looks cool. So we work on this first phase of the quest, and then we add each other to our friends list. His name was Ardix, which I later found out was based off of like a crappy like browser MMO. Like the more you know. But then we start talking to each other more and more, and we go through all of the different parts of the world that you have to go to get this quest. Like there's two factions of the game, Alliance and Horde, and as a dwarf, you're part of the Alliance. But one of the parts of the quest is that you have to travel through all of these higher level zones that are in the middle of enemy territory, and then you have to go to this one dungeon called Shadowfang Keep, and that's a dungeon that like arranging a dungeon itself was hard enough to get 5 players, but when that dungeon is on the opposite side of the world, finding that many players was impossible. So we basically had to find like 3 people, which is like well below the required amount, to go to this dungeon where all these monsters are much like higher level than you and much stronger.
Not getting ganked by enemies.
Yeah, so
they're capital cities right there.
And so then we go into this dungeon, like fight through it, and we're able to get the supply that we need. And then we go through these quests, and then it turns out for all these quests, you get this amazing hammer. And so you just get this massive 2-handed mace. And it was like Varigan's Retribution or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact name, but it was just so worth it that you were just climbing through these parts of the world, like with all of these different people that you met. And then the reward for it is that you get this badass weapon. It was sick.
After all that trouble.
Yeah.
That's the first experience.
Yes. Like, and that was like one of like my first experiences with like a friend, like making like a good friend with inside the game. So,
oh my god.
And like, and interjected kind of a little bit, like we have the 2 factions, and it's like back in Vanilla WoW, which is what we call it without expansions.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, explain that.
I'm assuming, Matt, did you play on a PvP server?
I did not. I did not.
Okay.
Play PvP.
I played on Mac Theridin was a PvP server, so being PvP, if you ran into, I was Alliance because I was a Night Elf. If I ran into a Horde player, and they were 10 levels higher than me, I was dying. I was going to die.
They could kill you.
Yes, literally.
And PvP is if you saw each other, it was like it's kind of almost like Pokemon. It's like you lock eyes and just I'm okay.
All right.
And I tell you, getting to Shadowfang Keep and the Scarlet Crusade dungeons were in the mid. Like the Horde capital city is right there. Like it's right here, and the 2 dungeons are right here. So like high level Horde players could easily get over there, and just come in. They'd walk up and be like, "Hey, low level."
Yeah, to put it in perspective, like Shadowfang Keep was like designed for like level 20 players.
Yep.
And with a level cap of 60, if you're in the heart of enemy territory,
You're gonna get
waltzing by, they're just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna one-shot this scrub."
And they're almost always on mounts, so they can run faster than you.
God, and one of the harshest aspects about the game is that back in vanilla, when you die, you basically spawn at a graveyard, and your ghost has to walk back to your body in order to revive.
Oh God.
And so you can
That's
either walk
awesome.
back to your body, and then you take like a penalty that your like armor takes a hit,
If
or you
you-
can talk to
if you
like the ghost
resurrectly-
there that's like, I will revive you, but you can't like you have
You're-
resurrection sickness and are useless for 10
It's
minutes.
75% reduction on all stats and armor for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Wow.
so you're useless if that happens. So it's particularly the Scarlet Monastery, which was
God.
like this was the one that was a little further. This was like a stone's throw from the enemy capital,
Yeah.
and this was like for like level 30 players.
And it was
If
3
you got
dungeons.
killed there, the only friendly graveyard nearby was 3 zones back in the Hillsbrad Footbrills, which was
South
like
Park.
that meant you had to walk a good 20-30 minutes to get
Yeah.
back, unless you had someone to res. And I, as a childish asshole, was one time in this dungeon. I was the only class who got resurrect. Like
Oh my God.
or like a member died, and I was about to res this dude, and then my mom comes in and yells at me to get off.
Oh
the computer
no.
dinner, and then I'm like, sorry guys, I have to log off, and I logged off before I res the dude. This
Oh.
dude like
Yeah.
literally like half an hour, if not long, because like it was the distance was just insane back then. It was so much more unforgiving when
It's
the freaking first came out.
To fly the taxi service from top to bottom of one of the continents, there were 2, took 10 to 15 minutes. To use the taxi service, to run that
That's
taxi
a
service
big map.
is
Yeah.
600% increased movement speed, and it flies, so it goes over all the stuff.
That's awesome.
These
Oh yeah,
maps
like
were
AFKing
huge.
while you were like, and you would AFK while you were on this mount because.
Oh
like,
yeah, I'd go like eat dinner.
Go
Yeah,
away
because-
from keyboard.
yeah. For those who.
That's
don't
what
know.
AFK stands for.
Yeah.
I
What does
remember
MMO stand for? We never talked about that.
Massively.
massive
Massively
multiplayer
online.
online, and then RPG role playing game.
Yes.
Yeah, because WoW is technically a RPG as well.
So my first encounter with RuneScape is actually hilarious.
Oh yeah.
It's when he met his first girlfriend. I
So,
told you I'd make the joke. I don't care if it's true or not. I told you I'm going to say it.
it's might as well have been true.
Tejas.
Not for that one, but like
Anyway, anyway.
other people. Anyway, so like
It's
I-
true.
I'm
I'm
in
sure
a-
it's true for a lot of people our generation.
so RuneScape launched in 2001. Technically 1999 was RuneScape Classic. Back then it was actually called Devious Mud. Because Mud, all caps, stands for something underground dungeon or something. I don't remember. It's a super old school term. But and then in 2001 they had launched it as RuneScape 2, which is the RuneScape that's in like 3D. It's not just some sort of 2D RuneScape Classic anymore. And I started playing in 7th grade, which 2000 what'd you guys say, like 2005, 4? Yeah, so around there. And it was funny because in this part I was in middle school, junior high public, and one of my buddies who I grew up with, everybody at lunch today was pretty much playing, and he was like, "Hey, like you should like play with us and stuff." This is actually Preston. For these guys in Destiny, we raided with him in Destiny 1.
He was a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's super like efficient. But he was telling me about it and stuff, and I was like, "Guys, the game sounds like shit." And I started shit talking it, like knowing nothing about it, just the fact that like all of them were into it and like I like was behind, and
So you suck.
so so I was just shit talking. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna fucking play that. After that, I didn't swear because I was a little kid, but like
You were good.
essentially this is what I'm translating myself to be saying, and so I within the week of like that discussion happening, I was at the library and I was bored. My sister or somebody was picking up some books, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna jump on this computer and what was the name of that game again? RuneScape. So I started playing, and at this time we had dial up for sure. But I made my first character. It was probably like MPK, my initials, and then like a bunch of numbers, and then but like I forgot the password or something, but I didn't get too far.
Like you do. I still do.
And then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna when I got home, I started the new character, and it was Magic 24, MAJK 24,
JK?
and I played. Oh my god, I played for so much on that character. And after 7th grade, I'd actually moved away, and so it was how I kept in contact with a bunch of my friends from my hometown and stuff. And so it was a nice. It became a nice little social social outlet, and also like escape from like teenager moving in like the teenage years. It's it's like I don't know anybody. I'm just gonna
Being a teenager.
play games and meet people online, and it was such an awesome experience. And I think I played Magic 24 up until freshman year of high school, so about 2 years, maybe 3. And then my mom paid with a bad credit card or like an expired credit card, and like they thought that like it was stolen, and so they locked the account.
Oh no!
Because like I'd gotten members after about a year, maybe 6 months, and so I lost the account. And like the only way that at that time you could unlock an account that like had that sort of restriction on it was to do very specific money transfer things, like send money in an envelope and or like a mail money order and like random
like a mail order.
And I was like, I don't understand this, but
That's
I'm just gonna F it. I'm just gonna start over. And like by this time, like my other character I'd been playing years didn't have a single 99. 99 was the max level for all your stats. I was about the combat level, which is derived from all of your different combat skills: attack, strength, defense, HP, ranged, magic, prayer. I don't know if summoning.
I remember prayer. You could legit be a priest in that game.
Oh yeah, you could like protect from melee and just walk through enemies. It's like I'm fine. So I was like, okay, like I was about level 70, and the max at that time was 126 for having all 99s. And so I was kind of middle of the road, not very good. I started over, but I was in a clan at that time that Preston and I joined. We were within the top, like the first like 10 people in this clan, and it was called the Hyosin Knights, HYOSIAN Knights, and the founder was Soldier J1, and he was a phenomenal dude, amazing leader. I ended up I was in the clan for I think 7 years.
Dethroned him,
Yeah.
And I was eventually leader of the clan for 2 years, right near when I started kind of dropping off. But yeah, and so it just kind of became this amazing, communal game that just started with me shit talking my friends' interests.
It's not the best way.
Yeah, but
ain't that just the way?
But yeah, my second character after that was Magic Soldier. I named
Soldier.
Magic and then Soldier for Soldier J1, who's leader of the clan. And oh my god, because I knew like 3 years of experience starting off, I got my first 99 so quick, and like I just like powered out everything, and I was like a range tank, and it was amazing.
It's the way to do it.
It was so much fun.
It's kind of neat to hear that you've played defensive forever.
Oh yeah,
Defensive support
like,
for literally
every game.
There in my clan, the ranking system, like it was like 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana,
4, 5 banana, 6.
bronze star, silver star, gold star, and then came like all the admin ranks. And by bananas I mean like the military, like corporal, yellow, and in order to go from bronze to silver star or silver to gold, I forget which one it ended up being. you had to be at a certain kind of level. Like you had to be super active within the clan. You had to be super nice to everybody. It was essentially saying like you're like a master. Like you are well respected. You're well rounded. Like you're solid in the game. You need to have like good gear. And the final step was to win a duel against the leader. And so like when I ended up doing that on Magic Soldier, I was about level 104, I think, but because I was like a mage range tank, my mage and range were 99, my defense was like 90, and I ended up fighting the leader who was like 124 or something. So like he had pretty much everything maxed out. Everything else was just maybe like 96-ish, 90 higher. Like, and I ended up beating him like straight up like on par, like destroying him, and it was amazing.
Oh, that's sick.
And like he was like melee, and it was like a combat triangle. So like melee beats range, range beats magic, magic beats melee, and like all the armors and everything have more defense against the things that they're better against. And the fact that like I beat him like 20 levels under was awesome.
You just fucking made a statement.
Oh yeah, everyone was like, "Holy shit!" And like we had we were part of a union of clans and did some like fun clan wars against allies and stuff. And I was actually
an ally.
Sparring.
I know, I'm kidding.
Sports stuff. But I was in charge of like the like we had like special ops groups and shit, and like, oh my god, I loved warring. It was so much fun.
Damn.
And that's something cool you can do in MMOs.
Oh yeah, the social element is like such a huge aspect.
And I think like I said, I never got into that with the MMOs, but like I play Destiny with all you people. And I play a lot of different video games with all you people. So but I know you in real life, so it's a little bit. I like playing games with people I already know.
Yeah.
It was never a big thing with me, which is probably why I never started playing WoW. Or I did play RuneScape for not long, maybe like 7th and 8th grade, and was never very good because my friends in real life played it, and they got subscriptions. I think one of my best friends from high school, in my yearbook from 8th grade to high school, wrote, I'm gonna be level 100 by the end of the summer, or something like that. Which I think it's around here somewhere. And he was, I think.
So
and then we both stopped. We got to high school and we stopped.
Yeah.
I didn't. I played video games for fun. I never got as into it as I did until you people. But it's
and your book.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's something unique about like connecting with people online too. Just because, like, the character I played the most on WoW was Rogue, and this is actually an interesting aspect. I played on what they call a RP server, aka a role playing server.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, that's when
they had some weird things going on that server.
It's when you get into character like a Dungeons
and
Dragons character, like as if you're playing like D&D, and like.
Yeah,
You like just get into the backstory of creating like your own little character, and like I made like this one really good friend through that because like he was just a fellow rogue, and like we would just like hop online and was just like, hey, let's go like RP, and just like did like a bunch of role playing shit. Like some of my fondest memories were like chilling with that guy, and like as a result of that, I got closer with him as like a person too. So like when he eventually had to unsub, like. It was like this like sad heart day where like I miss you, man.
Yeah, RuneScape I mentioned has like World 1, World 2, etc. Certain ones are members only. Certain ones are mainly for free players, but they actually had those kinds of designations. So like World 61, I think, was a role playing server, and like we always played on 60, which was and they had it set up so that way like. Certain activities would like be more popular in certain worlds. So there was this mini game called Castle Wars, which was essentially like capture the flag and then take it back to the other castle and then like dunk it, and like there was all these different routes and stuff you could take. You could hop across like the river. You could actually go underneath and like collapse like the caves on people, and like they'd instant die, and like it was, oh my god, I love Castle Wars.
So
And that was like one of the worlds, but I think there was this really, really small, like, it was a fishing minigame, I think. Like, you go on this boat, and, like, then, like, the boat is, like, catching fish, and you need to stop it from sinking for as long as possible. And, like, that was the world that, like, my clan was on, and no one ever did it, and so it was hilarious. But because of that, like, the world was just empty. And so we could, like, have, you know, no problems with
free reign.
spawns, anything. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You ruled that world.
You ruled us then.
HKF, FTW.
So going into your Castle Wars just reminded me of Battlegrounds.
I love Castle Wars.
Matt Enters can attest to this. Alterac Valley was the most. It's a 40v40
Oh, Jesus Christ.
PvP battleground that you queued for. So you didn't have to go anywhere. You could queue for it, which was nice. In Vanilla WoW, games for Alterac Valley, the longest one lasted 4 days.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they were intense.
That's
4
amazing.
days.
Insane.
Like
Yeah,
Castle
you
Wars
would,
like had a
hop
time
in and out
limit,
of it.
but like
Oh,
I
no,
don't
there-
think I
Like,
don't think there
people
was
were
a
in and
player
out.
limit either.
People were in and out of Alterac Valley. Like there was a night squad at one point. The longest game I played was overnight, because it was a Friday into a Saturday.
That is nuts.
That is
And I
absurd.
played until like midnight, and then my mom was yelling at me to go to bed. And I was like, guys, I gotta log off, but I don't want to lose this game. And they're like, okay, log off. We'll keep the raid locked. Go ahead, or whatever. And I said, okay. And then I came back on Saturday morning at like 8, and I was like, all right, guys, I'm back. And they're like, okay, we're inviting you. We need a spot. And I got pulled in, and we keep going. And they were still they had a night squad that just defended. They just
That's
defended the line for 8 hours.
That's Twilight
draw the
Gap
line.
right there.
Well, like Alterac
Hold
Valley,
the
if you're playing
line.
Alliance, like there's this one part of the map where right in front of your base, there's just this bridge, where it's just like this bridge over like this like little ravine,
For troubled
and
one.
so like the Alliance players can just like back in the day could just set up shop and just camp and just like hold the line.
Yep. Because you
Yeah.
could only get across with the bridge.
So that sounds like it was one of those like big like communal like kind of super memorable like activities. Was there any sort of like I know Rossi's talked to me about the one virus event that kind of happened.
Corrupted
Oh,
blood.
that's not even okay.
Yeah.
So WoW did like a lot of. So WoW, when it started, as it progressed, started to do fun events, but this one was unintentional.
Yeah, I'm talking about the
So-
unintentional ones, yeah.
There was this raid called Zul'Gurub, was it?
Yeah, it was ZG.
Okay, I can remember if it was Zul'Gurub or Zul'Karak. But for that, there was this debuff that you would get inside the raid called Corrupted Blood. And what would happen is when
I assume your blood would be corrupted.
Yes, your blood is corrupted, and
Feels so
then
bad.
when you die, it would create like an explosion effect that would like then infect other players.
And it could also infect by just it ticked down. It just killed you. It slowly damaged you over time.
Yeah.
It's a dot buff.
So
and it could
people
spread.
realize, like ordinarily, the thing is this debuff only existed inside of the dungeon. There was like no way to get it outside of the dungeon
It didn't follow players out.
until someone figured out how to do it. Hunters are like a class that they're like traditional ranger, but they then what they can do then is they have a pet that follows them. Turns out if you did it properly, you could have your pet get infected, undo the summoning on them, and they would still be infected. And then when you summon them back out in a capital city, they then would get this and have the debuff, which would
Then ticked and
which would then
spread.
tick down and then spread to every other players. But the thing is, it also spread to NPCs. So
Oh
then the
no.
NPCs would get infected and then become carriers for the disease.
And they were
Oh
immortal.
no.
Half of them were immortal. Half of them weren't.
So then they
And-
just became these carriers of this disease
Just
that whenever
kill
you're walking around,
everything.
And this
Oh,
is
God.
vanilla WoW before there was damage scaling. So like this is a level 60 raid. This
Yeah.
thing damages you for a lot.
So if you're a
Like-
low player, you're just like instantly dying.
I was like under level 30. It was like tick dead.
Yeah.
Bones.
like, And so like eventually they quickly like patched it out eventually, but
it
like
was like a 4 days, I think.
But
yeah,
something like that.
people have done like studies on how the community, like the psychology behind it and how they like dealt with it, because people would like, some people would try and spread it maliciously, and other people would be like, "Hey, I'm a healer. Come, like, I'll heal you until you can like get free," and like,
well like
I,
a similar,
I
That's
very
so fun.
amazing.
like for those who didn't get to experience that, Blizzard then actually realized how successful and cool that was, and they brought a similar concept back. So beginning
That's so
the
messed up.
the second expansion of the game is called Wrath of the Lich King, and this is where like
Wrath of the
the
Lich
Ice King of the North is like, "Hey, I'm gonna attack you with ice zombies," and so
So the Night King.
The Night King.
basically,
it's
very George R.R. Martin influence. But
Yeah.
so what they did is then they spread the plague that infects people into zombies and had it affect players. So then players could then become infected as a zombie, and then this was one of the few times where you as a zombie could just flat out attack any other player. Normally you could only fight any other factions, but you could attack any player and you
turn
could
into a
infect
free
them
for all.
and turn them into a zombie. And so then the massacre just occurred in the capital cities. Like
it was great.
there were
They just
areas where
killed
there was healing and
everybody.
people could be debuffed, but then they made it like a week-long event. So like as it was progressing, these areas started to dwindle down and like the fight got back up. It was just complete madness until eventually it was just like a desolate wasteland of chaos.
When you die in WoW, when you run back to your corpse
Die
or
in
res
life.
at the person at the graveyard is a spirit healer. It's an angel that will
Yeah.
res you for
That's the person who
fighting
will infect you if you.
the res sickness. When you resurrect, your body disappears, but your bones stay
Oh god.
to denote where you were. So with corrupted blood and the plague spreading, capital cities became white
Yeah, graveyards.
because just piles of
Just
bones.
straight up graveyards.
Piles, and you could see the trails, like people trying to escape. And like
Mm.
with corrupted blood, I was a druid, so I was a healer. I could be a healer, and I just was like, come here and just pop my area of effect. Like I have an area effect heal, kind of like a warlock rift in Destiny right now, and I could pop it and go
Warlocks.
stand in here and then run, so they could outlast the tick. Sometimes you could outlast it and then just get out. And just trying to triage people and get lower levels, like get them rezzed, get them out. And because I was level 60, I could handle it. I could sit there and just heal through and be fine. And it was just like, and it was, I think it was undispellable because it wasn't classed as anything. It was just a big debuff, so you couldn't
And
get rid of it.
And that's so fun. That is that's a neat
And like,
aspect of an MMO. It's like
Yeah,
I,
that's like
I
you can't
survived
really
this.
create that sort of social experience.
Well,
Yeah.
there's one in RuneScape.
the gods one.
Are you talking about the God Wars?
I think so, but I don't know.
No. The God Wars is just like a dungeon that like you can go to and like fight different bosses. So there was a skill that came out in 2006 called Construction, and there were a couple like cities throughout, and they all had house portals, and you could go to a house portal and like design your own house, and like it was your own kind of personal space, and you could kind of like throw house parties. There was like a combat dungeon, there's a combat ring. You could do like a boxing ring, melee only kind of fights. And then there were lots of different aspects to it. But it was a super expensive skill because like people just could buy all of the wood planks that they wanted, and then like that was it. And like here you go, now I have 99 construction, and so it was like super expensive. And the first person to ever get 99 construction through an open party.
You did tell me this.
Yeah, I know I did. He threw an open house party, and the max amount of people in any world is 2,000, and the world was at that for the entire duration of his house party. The dude's name, who got 99 first, was Cursed You, I believe. And at this party, because there were so many people, And like if you're the house owner, you can actually just straight up like hit a button and kick everyone from it. And there were so many people there that, and like a bunch of people were like in the dungeon, you know, fighting and everything. A couple guys figured out that if they, you know, got killed in the ring at the same time that they got kicked out of the house, then they could actually attack people outside of the player-owned house. And the only place that you can attack other players is the wilderness, which is a dangerous area that is not near any banks or anything like that. It's, you know, all the way up. And how the wilderness works is as you go through the wilderness, it's like, okay, you go from like level 1, 2, 3. The level is the differential of what players' levels can actually attack you, or you can attack them. So if I'm level 100 and I'm at level 20 wilderness, I can attack level 80, but I can also get attacked by level 120. And the highest level wilderness was like 56, I think. But with this glitch that they found, that didn't matter. They could just attack anybody. And so what ended up happening at this massive party, the entire world was at this dude's house, kicked out. This guy, Duriel321 was his name, and a couple of his friends went to one of the major cities, which is like right next door to where the house portal was, and just started massacring people. And no one could fight back. Everyone was just freaking out. And this Duriel guy who had this capability just so happened to be a super strong mage peer. And what that meant is his magic skill was super high, and he was well versed in combat. And the max level of any skill is 99. At level 96, under a certain spell book called the Ancient Magics, you unlock a spell called Ice Barrage, which is a multi-hit ice magic attack that will freeze other characters for 30 seconds.
That's a long crowd control.
Yeah.
And so he just started casting it on this super crowded place, and people were dying. And like, it was a house party, so like everyone had all their best shit on them. You know, they wanted to look nice. Oh man, it was bad. There's an amazing video of the Faldor massacre. Oh, and did I mention that this happened on June 6th of 2006?
Oh my god.
Shit you not.
The spawn of Satan himself.
Like,
I'm sure that's why he did it too.
well, like that was just when the guy got, you know, 99 construction. That's when the party was. Like, it was super, like, just kind of happened that way. Like, and there's an amazing video. You can just search Faldor Massacre. And there's a band called Nightwish. And they have a song called Planet Hell. And it's, like, perfect with this video.
Oh my god.
And it is just so intense. But what ended up happening, the dude was on a rampage for maybe 10 minutes. One of the J-Mods, one of the people who runs the game, Jagex, J-Mods, popped in, immediately kicked him from the game and banned him. And, like, all of his friends. And, like,
res everyone.
And, like, there was nothing like they could do. They couldn't, like, try to, like, re-roll stuff, like, at that point, I don't think. But, like, it was just, like, the damage was done and, like, history was made.
Because they could steal your equipment if they killed you, right?
Yeah, it was just anyone could. So the person who got the kill would have, like, first dibs up until, like, a minute, I think. And then the items would just appear on the ground because, like, people can just drop stuff. And, like, if I dropped a good weapon to make room for, like, something else, I would, you know, want to be able to pick it back up within like a minute. Yeah. And so, like, you know, to make space in my inventory. And so, like, after the kill, like, these guys weren't collecting it. They were just massacring people. So all these amazing drops were just on the ground, and people were trying to loot it and then run back to the bank and not get frozen and then run back outside, get drops. And the funny thing with how all of the drop system worked when you died was if you weren't in the wilderness, didn't attack anybody in the wilderness, you would always, if you died, you'd always keep your best 3 items. And by best, it was most expensive. And how that calculated was through actually a spell value. So there's a spell that you can turn any item into money, into gold pieces. And it's called High Alchemy, is the better version of it. And it would go by that high alchemy price. And RuneScape always did seasonal events like Christmas and Easter and Halloween, and so there were always these discontinued items that would be like specific to those events, like Santa hats, party hats, and these items that were a set amount of them were in the game, and that's it. And so people would be at this party, they'd be wearing like their party hats and everything, looking all fancy, but the discontinued items didn't high out for anything. So their worth was 0. And so
they lost them all.
And so they would always drop. And like if anyone was in the wilderness before, and doing some player killing, if you attack someone first in the wilderness, you got a skull above your head, and then that meant if you died, you would keep no items. And on top of that,
so intense.
There was like if they had it, they would lose everything. Yeah, but there was a spell called like Protect Item, which would always give you 1 extra item. So like people who didn't have the skull could keep 4 items. People who did have the skull could keep 1. But even then, like if your prayer points ran out, that's it. And of course, there's a prayer that as you do damage to other players, it reduces their prayer points.
Oh damn!
Which is hilarious.
So
I'm counteracting your prayer.
There were so many, like it was called Smite, and so like there were so many levels to it that like just like all these people were like, I want to get all these discontinued items. That like in reality, like the maximum amount of cash in RuneScape was 2.147 billion coins.
Damn.
And that's
sounds like a
base, and like discontinued items. I know at least now are actually worth more than 1 cash stack. So you have to give them a full 2.147 billion coins and then other discontinued items.
Damn.
Or something else worth
that much.
The set amount of money. Like, it is insane. Like, that was one of the things that surprised me most about RuneScape and, like, as an MMO, like, was just the economy and, like, how amazing, like, they had a straight up stock market that people can go through and like
also to be fair,
watch like everything. It was
Neopets had a stock market. So
EVE Online.
Oh wow! Like WoW just got into the game currency to money thing in the last 3 years. They stayed away from it for the longest time, but now you can buy game time with gold.
Yeah.
In game currency, and then you can sell it on the auction house. Or
that's
you can buy a game time.
That is a really cool thing.
And sell it on the auction house and get gold. I did it once because I needed
RuneScape, and one might have also done this. They made it so you can actually buy the tokens or whatever, and then give it to another player, and so that way they could have membership.
That's cool.
That's cool.
So it's like, hey, I want my friend to
to be able to play.
And like I know I can make enough in-game currency that it's fine for me. And so people would like do that, and like I think they were called bonds in RuneScape. And so it'd be like, hey, I'm gonna buy you some bonds, and then you're gonna be able to play with me in members worlds.
That's a neat idea. I like that.
I think going back to the whole house party massacre.
Oh my dude, it was.
That reminds me of a similar event, much more reviled than WoW. It's revolving a guild called Serenity Now back in
Serenity Now.
Oh god, I think I remember this.
So
it sounds like Surrender Now.
This is the pits of people being horrible, and then also just like insane that someone would have the audacity to pull this off. There was a guild. There was a player of WoW on this one server, and then he was a horde player, and they passed away from a stroke in real life. And then this person was like pretty known on the server, part of their guild. And so what they did is that they threw an in-game funeral for them. So like they went to this one area and had like this whole service. And this was all done in the area called Winter Spring. This was done by a guild of horde players. There was an alliance guild known as Serenity Now.
Oh God.
Serenity Now was aware.
I don't like where this is going.
They were aware this event was occurring. Winter Spring is a contested area.
And it's closer to the Alliance capitals than it is the Horde. It's
it's Winter Spring is a pretty.
I figured from Darnassus you could get to it, but yeah.
Regardless, Serenity Now becomes aware of this, and
God damn.
so they in full force trashed the funeral and slaughtered every player there.
They slaughtered them all. Murdered every single one of them.
They straight up walked up and then murdered everyone who was in attendance.
No survivors.
That's not okay. This was like a funeral for a person who passed away in real life.
Oh God.
It was on a PvP server, and it was a well-advertised funeral. It was like all over the internet, like come to the funeral.
Like, that's why I'm glad that like RuneScape had like a very designated PvP, a dangerous PvP.
Well,
area.
no, this server is designated as PvP. They had RP and other servers.
But, like that's the entire server. Like that's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And this guild walked in, and they didn't only murder them.
They massacred them.
They ganked them. They stayed on their corpses.
Oh
Yeah.
You either had to take the res sickness or try to corpse jump, which is res and run. Die, res, run, die, res, run. Corpse jumping.
Yeah, this was a reviled event, probably most similar to that house party massacre that I could think.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I can give a plus example here, and then we need to wrap up because we've been talking for an hour and a half.
Yeah, too many stories.
There's a lot of stories. I'm gonna do one more story on a positive note. On the SWOTOR, when Carrie Fisher died, there was like a vigil. You can go to Alderaan because it's the old Republic, so Alderaan's still around. There's a castle for House Organa, and there's a vigil outside House Organa.
Oh,
that's nice.
For Carrie Fisher, and I thought that was great. And that's a much nicer story than everyone dying, guys.
That's the reality of MMOs. Is that
you never know, and it's neat to remind people, and it's probably very important to remind people that there is a real life outside of these.
Yeah.
But yes, so there is an MMO that we all play together, and I think that's a good way to wrap up, and we can get Owen back in the conversation, even if he has his. If he has
he's gone.
MMO like.
Listen,
it's MMO.
You play
it's pretty
together.
MMO.
It's MMO-esque, and
like the design of it is very, very similar to an
MO.
That's fair. The massive
multiplayer online.
Massive amounts of people play it.
Yeah. There are points to and against. It's I would say it is, and just because it's a shooter doesn't mean that it can't be.
Yeah.
I know, Rossi, your big complaint is that you can't trade items.
You can't interact with other players besides
fighting,
waving at them
alongside of them or against them.
Yeah.
You can't whisper strangers on the PC version. You have to be in the fire team with them. You can't trade.
You can whisper it. You have to enable it in your settings. Is the issue?
Oh, I thought you can.
Okay. I didn't know that. Well, there you go, Rossi.
Yep.
But like the thing is, it's flagged off by default, so that is true.
And it's
like,
not. And there's
the
no
first
public,
week, everyone on the subreddit had said, "Hey, let's all just like do this together."
Yeah.
Set it to be on.
And like you can't trade items. You can't like. There's just a couple of things that are just like, eh.
I mean, but like those could just be nuances, you know.
I mean, on the subject of chat, I wanted to bring up just a little WoW thing. There's something of infamy, I guess. It's Baron's chat.
Oh, that's just people shit posting and like one.
It's like for me, it was the origins of the memeing, trolling internet. Was I started a horde character out of curiosity, and then there's this low level zone. It's like the second of the first two couple zones called the Barrens. It's a pretty big place. but it's
Sounds-
right. The capital city is like in the next zone over, so people will come to Baron's chat and just like shit post. It's the origins of shit posting is that chat, that public zone chat, and that's like the stuff in Destiny that I was hoping to see with a PC version is like I'm on Nessus and I'm now in Nessus's general chat. Or like not necessarily the shitposting part, but like the massive amount of people talking.
That's
Like
fair.
being in Nessus,
You wanted to see
go to
more
a
of the
planet,
social.
you'd have a general chat. So you're like, yo, hey, I got a pub event over here. If anyone didn't see it, or oh, hey guys, I found this lost sector. Like you want to like little like it's yeah.
Yeah, ways to interact with strangers and make friendships instead of just direct messaging somebody and then
I've
going
made
from
many
there.
a friend through the general chats.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Again, I will say that aspect was kind of missing in Destiny. I just think that Destiny has a lot of RPG elements into it, like with like
Destiny 2 at
finding
launch,
better
you should say.
Oh yeah. I guess.
It'll just be Destiny to me for forever.
Well, I was specifying at launch because like they make so many updates and changes as you know.
Yeah, as it goes. Yeah,
As it goes. And
vanilla,
that's
vanilla
the
Destiny
MMO
is
in
so
general.
ridiculously different than Destiny ended up.
Yep.
So it's and for the better, I would say, just as a whole. But yeah, there's a lot, but like there are so many aspects that are pretty MMO-y. It's like during this podcast, I collected 400 tokens for a weekly event. It's just there's all that stuff. I'm grinding for something weekly, and that is something that I wouldn't ever do for a RuneScape or a SWTOR. But I'm sure there is.
Grinding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You have the
No, I
trade
don't-
skills.
Yeah, we say I don't do that for those guys. I do that
Fire
for,
making, man.
for this.
It's all about the
I
fire.
could not make money for the life of me. And then the first expansion hit, and I was like rolling in it because they just upped the gold count a little bit. And I was like, I'm so rich. And then flying cost 2,000 gold, and I was like,
And boom goes the dynamite.
and there goes all my money.
My laziness has killed me.
My hubris, my greed.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just.
so.
Yeah, pretty much.
And as a I don't know, this is kind of a slight end note. For those of you who have heard us talking and may be interested in WoW and want to try it, Blizzard just recently announced this week World of Warcraft Classic,
Yes,
which
they're going to
is
be
literally
releasing.
vanilla WoW.
Yeah, they're going to be releasing a version of WoW. They don't even have like an announcement. I don't think they even started developing yet, just other besides an announcement. But it's going to be the classic WoW experience. So that means before any expansions.
Yeah.
That will mean that a lot of quality of life stuff is.
We don't know for sure, actually. That's the theory now.
No, they pretty much said that they want
they
to
did.
keep it as authentic to the original experience as possible.
I'm okay with that.
So that means a lot of frustrating shit is still going to be in the game.
That's interesting because RuneScape had come out with 2007 Scape. It's essentially just like old school RuneScape with the old school graphics and everything. But they started developing it in a different parallel. And so they started bringing those quality of life things, like God Wars Dungeon, and started doing its entirely different storyline actually, with the players, really at the helm for the old school version. Which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
And they may go that way. Who knows? There was a huge fiasco a year ago. WoW has a thing with private servers, which are people running their own servers with older versions of WoW running on them. Like I was on one for a while. Nostalrius is like the most famous one. It was vanilla WoW, but like the one I was on, you would go into this area that was otherwise off limits, but you could get like any gear you wanted. You could get money, and like it was essentially like cheat mode on, and go ahead and play the old version of the game. And that was the one I was on, but like the one that everyone played, Nostalrius, was literally just vanilla WoW, and people played on it. But it's it's like some dude hosting the server without Blizzard's permission, and like it went on for a couple years, and then Blizzard like DMCA'd them. And it was a huge fiasco because it was like, Blizzard, you seriously see that we want this? Why aren't you like you just murdered like thousands of people who just loved your game and wanted to play the old version of it. And that's why everyone thinks WoW Classic came from, is that whole fiasco, is that they shut down all the private servers.
Yeah, the issue with that
we
is
had
that
something we wanted and you took it away.
Yeah. Well,
the
they have
issue
to
with that
protect
is they're
it.
using their resources, and it's technically not
Authorized.
like that version isn't the version of the game anymore.
No, yeah. And like they didn't make money or anything. Like they took donations to keep it running, but like they didn't make profit.
Yeah.
But
like that's the thing with like the MC laws. Like you have to like protect it, or you become vulnerable to becoming like countersued.
Yep.
So like they have
Yeah.
to.
Oh yeah.
So like they don't really have much of a choice there, regrettably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes total sense. So.
Yeah, MMOs.
We can talk forever.
And I could go on for another couple hours.
Seriously, there's so much.
We could do a part 2 if you really wanted to.
I'd be down for part 2.
And there's just connecting it as a whole. It is a very cool genre. It like, even though it's things that are important to me, like the social aspect, that is why people play these games. So it's a neat thing to stay with games. So
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And there's lots of good memories.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna wrap up
Great.
these. If Owen, are you paying attention?
Yes, I am.
All right. So,
I am now.
I am.
I am now, bitch.
So, you might see these faces again for other stuff because they are my gaming dork friends. We could do a whole Yes, true. We can do a whole like Nintendo one, or we can do.
There's a lot of things.
There's a
Pokemon.
lot we can do.
Pokemon. Like,
That one we should probably do soon because there's a new game coming out next week.
I mean, like that you have aspects like. all right.
Technically, it is.
Technically, it's a
Pokemon.
pretty new game. So
It's a different story.
so
Apparently, it's going to be way more different than we think. So we'll.
Yeah.
I'm hyped. I'm real hyped about it. So
We'll see. I've been let down by recent Pokemon games, but we'll get into that in a
In the
future
Pokemon.
episode.
and a Pokemon episode. So
Team.
also, Matt Enters works in a theater, so he can talk about that too.
Yes,
So-
I work with the Kimmel Center of the Performing Arts.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So we,
I have some
yeah. So small. They do connect. I swear. I promise.
somehow.
Gaming and theater do connect. I promise.
Yes, it's there. Don't worry,
Other,
it's
other
coming.
than role playing.
Other than role playing, yes. All right. Well, guys, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
You're
anyone
welcome.
who's watching this and stuck with us this long, play some MMOs and to
Try the free trials. It exists.
Yeah.
They're, if nothing
Like
else,
Guild Wars
it's
2, everyone.
there you go. And let us know what you want to hear. We have a couple of ideas, but we want to do what people want to. We want to talk about what people want us to talk about. So
Give the people what they want.
yes.
Yeah.
So tell your friends.
At your will.
Yes. Tell your friends. All right. Owen, you got anything?
Nope.
Nope. Cool.
Bye.
You're in poses.